is in the when I was in spring training, the first hour of every morning there was always some type of housekeeping meeting that we had. Somehow it was about anything and everything. And I think that's important as we're, getting things rolling going in and to 2026. So that's why I wanted to have, the estate attorney, our investment advisor, uh, accountants, attorneys, all those types of people that are on there just to provide you guys with, just we have the contact list. I'd rather you guys kind of hear it from the horse's mouth as to how and why it's important to have those guys in your corner when those opportunities do come up, right? So you don't have to use any of those people. It's just more of, hey, if and when those opportunities do come up or you're in that position, you have someone that you can call because they've been recommended. Okay. So just to be clear on that. So the rest of these will be all about real estate, of course, as long as unless something else pops up and I'm like, oh, we need to have a call about that. Or you guys have a recommendation or a thought about something. So cool. Zane, you gotta get rolling into this. You got any big thoughts, questions, or announcements as we're moving in?
Yeah, I mean, I've just been working with a few of these guys actually on here over the past couple weeks, talking to them, catching up, seeing what they've been working on. John Blanford's working on a deal. Will, I know I talked to you, I think last week, if I'm not mistaken, and I forgot honestly what we talked about exactly, but
No worries. We're working on one. It's the more I get deeper into it, the more unrealistic it gets. But we'll when we go over all the deals and whatnot, I'll get into
yeah.
the details.
Awesome, awesome. And then Matt and Adam are working on a deal that they're raising money on as well too.
Nice.
And I guess we can kind of I talked to John Blanford right before this, so we can maybe put him on the spot first and go into his deal. And Craig, I haven't heard from you in a little while, so if you have something that you want to catch up on, we can always go through you guys,
Yeah.
everybody on the call if you guys want it as well too. So we'll start with John maybe, and then we'll kind of go from there if
Yeah.
that's cool with
Sounds
everybody
good.
else.
Yeah, you want to share the screen or give me access to share it if
Yep.
you would?
Go ahead. Let's see here. There you go. There you go. Try it now.
All right.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Oh, shit.
There it is.
Let me get to what I need to here. Shit. Sorry, this bar's in my way. I'm trying to get access to my other stuff. There we go. Okay, so this is the assumption page on this property. Let me show you what this thing looks like. My broker found it on Crexy. So let me take you to this. It's in. I walked the property the other day. Are y'all seeing this?
Yeah.
Okay. So here it is right here. It's in the heart of Tulsa, like 13,700 square feet. They're asking 795. It was an owner user. They it seems like they're pretty motivated. They told me th there is some construction going on the highway over there, which is, frustrated them. I mean, that's eventually going to be done. It's right off the, two major highways in Tulsa. We I can kind of flip through here. It has a billboard. It's producing $8,700 annually in revenue. So that's a plus. This is the front. This is the back. So it's got a dock in the back. Got a overhead door over here. You can see it's kind of wooded. It's got a nice building here. I mean, here's one of the major highways. It's got a nice building next to it, just east of it. But it's got all this, tree line, and then it goes into the creek. So there's a creek behind it and a creek to the side of it. But there's room to expand if we come out and make some improvements here. So I think there's some value adds. You can see the building's right here. I don't know if
Nice.
you can see my mouse,
Yeah.
but that's it there. So it's in the heart of Tulsa. Good spot. It's been vacant. He's been in it. He's been trying to sell it. He's been in it for, I guess, a while. Been trying to have it listed for. I can't see what this says. I think it's like I don't know, about a year. It seems like it's been a while from what I remember. I talked to him. The owner, agreed to do seller financing.
Nice.
He agreed to do 25, leave 25% of the deal. So if we go over here, um, I offered him 725 because he told me the copper got stole out of it. There was some, being the creek and being, pretty much vacant because he kind of moved his operation back to Texas. You had some, some homeless population around there, and they stole the copper out. And so, anyways, he told me he had a bid for about 40 grand to get that fixed. So it's originally an old CNC machine shop. So it's red iron. It's got good bones, it's red iron and got cinder block walls. I offered him 725. He kept 25% of the deal. We thought, as far as the comps go, there's some, rents in the area that were going for, 7 to 9. So I've got we got LOI signed and agreed on 725. But after I signed that, I walked it. So maybe I should have walked it first. I don't know. But I went over there and walked it. And there's more work than just the copper that needs to be done. I mean, you see, it needs the place cleared out, needs some gravel, it really needs a fence around it, in my opinion. It's got they got about 60 grand in roof repairs they've got estimated from a company. And then it's got needs a new HVAC unit, so that's probably $10,000 to $12,000 for a 6 ton there. It needs some new flooring inside, just some paint on the outside, as you can see. So I don't know. I'm thinking worst case scenario, uh, maybe it needs $250,000 in work. But I'm thinking if I can get, since he's doing seller financing, I talked to my lender. The key on this one, it's vacant. The key on this one is we're doing a contingency deal on finding a tenant at 750 a square foot. $7 would work too. I have this one put in here as seven. I put it $7 and I factored in the billboard, which took me to 763. So I don't know. I'm kind of wanted to present this to you guys, and we got 60 days to find a tenant. My broker started leasing this yesterday. He did like a AI generated, what's going to look like and what's coming. It's not there now, but what's coming. And he said he's already got someone reaching out to him, a record service. I don't know if I'm excited about that, but this is like day 3. So we got 60 days before we move into closing. I got to put some earnest money down, which I can do, but I was kind of thinking about partnering up with somebody if they can bring some cash to the table for the rehab portion of it. My lender was he's about it. He just thinks that it's going to be dependent on the tenant, which I agree. I don't want to move forward if I can't find a tenant. So, want to get y'all's thoughts, questions.
Did you run the numbers on the vacant offer tab?
Yeah, I didn't know if I know what the hell I was doing, but I mean, so I put a $7, market rent. I think if we actually did it, we could possibly get 8. We're starting to, so say we're at 750 because that's what we're asking now. And 300, I shot high just in case. I don't know what a fence is going to cost and the gravel on the roof and the HVAC and the flooring and the paint. I mean, I feel like I could get up there pretty easily, pretty quick. So I put 300 in there. Um, so it says 577. I think is that
I changed
is
the
that if
cap
you
rate. I changed the cap rate to like 9.5. That's gonna really change the price of poker.
so change that to 9.5?
Yeah.
Hmm. Nine.
Because here's the thing is if you want to so if you go back to your assumptions tab, John, just so I'll give you guys just a quick overview on how I'd look at that, just out of the gate. If you scroll down just to the acquisition exits. And what you'll notice is where you're talking about your debt terms, where you've got your amortization interest rate, that number underneath that loan constant, that number, that's really your global cost of interest. Meaning when you repay that monthly principal and interest, that's the annual cost of the money. Now, again, a percentage of that is interest, the other percentage of that is principal, but that's the total amount of money and interest and money that's going back to the bank every year or every month essentially. And so the way I look at that is if that's the price of debt anything below that, the deal just won't pencil. So you got to have having a market cap rate of like an 8, really that buyer is going to be like got to be a cash buyer because they're not borrowing any money. I like to keep the market cap rate at like a 9, 9.5 because that will help you make stronger offers because like I said, you know, you're not buying it at a 8. Somebody else might, but you wouldn't, you know. So I like to kind of keep that like I think 9, 9.5 is like a very fair market cap rate compared to where interest rates are right now. Now, if interest rates were 4, yeah, maybe 6.5, 7, 8 cap rate would be a little more feasible. But with interest rates being in the sevens, it doesn't deals just won't pencil. So that's why I increased the cap rate. That which will
I
then
guess I don't
convert to
understand
purchase
that.
price.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I guess I don't understand that part of it. With the cap rate you're talking about. I mean, I changed it from 8 to 9. I didn't mess with that because that's just what it was. But um, can you go in a little more detail on that one? Because I mean, cap rate. I'm thinking of what what the cap rate's going to be. What I'm projecting if I get a renter in there. It's just like the what's this? I guess representing. Sorry.
That exit cap rate is call it. I like to look at it and think that's what the market is trading for. Like, is that building going to trade at an 8? Is somebody going to buy that at a 7 or an 8? I mean, I don't know. I look at think that like a building like that again. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I like to be a little bit more conservative and call it a higher cap rate. And then you'll be pleasantly surprised when the appraisal comes back at an 8.5. And then your intrinsic value will be higher. But if you're just immediately assuming that it's an 8 and you run your numbers based on an 8 cap, when a third party appraisal comes in and he represents it at a 9.5 or a 10, well then you're underwater on your assumption.
And this is all based off of assuming that you could sell it, or that you want to sell it once it's all done up and stabilized and everything. But there's also like the refinance approach, right? And you continue to hold it and everything. So for that, for example, Nolan, like over here on the 5 years seller balloon, and John, did you already agree to a certain percentage of the purchase price that the seller is willing to leave in the deal, or is that still up in the air?
It's 25%. The banker told me he'd probably want to see a 65-35 loan to value. Um, if we're having to do if he's going to loan a more on it, if they're going to lend me more money on it versus maybe I'm bringing in a partner,
Okay,
on a
okay.
syndication deal.
So you're
So I
saying they
can get
want like,
more.
oh, sorry.
I could get more. I could get the money from the bank, I believe, but he would want me at a 65-35. So I have to bring some money to the table.
Yeah.
So I thought, what about just bringing in a partner? If someone wanted to do something, try about that way. But like I said, I thought it all kind of depended on me finding a tenant at 7.5, $7 a square foot for it to really make sense on these numbers. But
Is seven
I'm always
dollars a
thinking,
foot, John? Is $7 a foot the market interest, like the market rent for that space? You think?
yeah. So they said on the low end is 5, on the high end is 9.
Okay, so
So
seven
they
probably
think
got a little airway.
if you're sticking, money into it and get it to where we're talking about putting all these repairs into it, then, maybe it's 8 or 9. But, you know, trying to paint the picture to the tenants, I guess, the broker thought let's go at 7.5.
Okay. So are you going to make those? Are you going to make those improvements prior to closing, or are you going to say, "Hey, tenant, I will make the improvements once you lease"? Like, what's your offer out right
That
now?
was my
What's your broker's
plan.
offer?
Get the tenant in place and say this is, maybe I give him a discounted rate, a lease for a couple months until everything's done. But I didn't want to. I'm not going to go into closing unless I got a tenant secured. So I'd have to say that, yeah, this is what it is now, but by June, or give me 60 days and I'll have all this stuff done. I'll give you a discounted rate, or maybe they don't need to move in till later, and it's not so big of a deal, but and they're not super urgent to move in right now. But if they are, I'll give them a discounted rate and get on things. But give me 60 days is kind of what I was thinking, something like that.
Well, do you know of but like a contractor or somebody over there in that area that could potentially go give you like a free quote for everything you're trying to do? Or
Yeah,
you,
my broker's brother. he's got a contracting company. I got a good buddy of mine who's got a contracting. He does more residential, so I don't know if this is up his alley, but yeah, he was talking about getting him over there to clear the space, put the gravel down, put a fence up, look at the roof repairs, do all this work. So he was saying he would be willing to do that. Obviously it's his brother and he's got motivation to get the deal done. So maybe his brother would do that for us.
Yeah. Well, just to get like a quote to see if it's even worth pursuing further could be a good next step, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, I had no clue on some of this stuff. I was kind of going off what they had got estimated, you know, on their end, and I don't know how long ago that was or whatever, but never really looked at a vacant deal. But I was it was intriguing since he was willing to do some seller financing. He seems motivated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's moved off back operation in Texas, so um, if I can find a tenant, this seems like the numbers worked from what I was seeing here, but.
So your offer price or the LOI that you guys have that's been signed is at 725.
Correct.
So you'll
So I haven't
be
renegotiated anything after I've seen all the other stuff that's came about either.
okay.
So my thought was I could use that. I don't know that he'll go down to, $500,000, but maybe he comes down to 625, whatever. Because we're having to bring so much money to the table to get things ready to, rent.
John, what if you brought in a bunch of contractors, got a bid for the plumbing, the roofs, the gravel, the fence, presented that budget to him and anything else this deal needs, and then, just essentially retrade off of that?
Yeah, and that's kind of where my thought was at, Craig, is have something in hand saying, look, I got to bring, 275 to the table. When we made this offer, all you guys told me about was the copper got still out of the building. You didn't tell me that the roof needed, $80,000 worth of repairs
Yeah.
and
A little
all
misleading.
that stuff. So I was going to use that as leverage and talk to him about it. Once I had a proposal in hand. But my ballpark numbers that me and the broker came up with, who knows if they're legit, but 300K,
Do
you
you have
know.
flooding issues as well?
So the very back corner of it is in a flood zone. But the rest of the property is not in a flood zone. So there's room to, put another building up. The previous owner talked about doing that. There's some spots that need to be cleared out, and I think it needs to be fenced in and painted, and like I said, all that stuff.
I
So,
kind of like the deal. That might be not be the sentiment with the rest of the group, but I like the fact that the seller is motivated and he's willing to provide seller financing. I just think you got to squeeze it the right deal. And then to Dolan's point about the exit cap, it's in Tulsa. It's a 60s vintage deal, so it's going to be a different exit cap than a deal in Dallas that's relatively new.
yeah.
You could
Any other
also
thoughts?
do some creative stuff in your seller carry negotiating rather than paying them day one, 4% interest or whatever. You could say, hey, no payments for 6 months, or I don't start those payments until I've stabilized it completely. So it gives you some more runway expense wise.
Hmm.
And then if he's really pushing back on the purchase price, like if he's stuck on a 725 or whatever, say, well, hey, I need some runway then. Give me a year to get this thing solid and in place and recovering some of your expenses.
That's a good idea.
You go a step further and just say, hey, here's the quotes that I got from all the contractors. We'll close at this purchase price that we agreed on, but you're doing 90% of the work, and you're paying for it when we close. And somehow or another, you can say, hey, the closing, the amount of money the bank that shows up with the 500 grand or whatever, 200 of it stays in escrow and funds the rehab to get to get the building up to speed to be able to afford. I'm thinking of it if $7.50 or $8 is the market rent right now, John. You probably can only rent it for $3 a foot right now, or maybe if it's even you know tenable, it might not even be available to be leased. So I would say, listen, all right, we'll agree on that price that you want. Check his box, give him his price. You get the terms. You don't pay interest for an entire year on your seller note, and then 200,000 of that money at closing gets held back in escrow and finances, again, 80% of this rehab. And that way it allows me to actually do something with this building and to lease it up, because otherwise it's not marketable right now. Like with all those improvements you're talking about, there's just a lot to do. And so I think that if you just go in there with some offers, like with the term like that, he's wanting to move it, he's wanting that price, whatever. Um, maybe there's a way, and then you can say, hey, then I'll finish it up with that remaining $50,000 to finish the rehab up. But at that point, now you got everything that's new, everything's fixed up, it's clean, it looks great off the side of the highway, and then you're going to be able to get that $8 a foot, and then at that point you can go get a new appraisal with a new rental, 5-year lease in there, and then it actually appraises at that 8.5, 9 cap, which makes the building worth $1,100,000, $1,200,000. You refinance both your first and your second mortgage back out, and then you still own the building with none of your own money. And you had him finance the rehab.
Okay.
So that's just a thought. I mean, it's kind of an aggressive play. But if you say he's motivated and you say, hey, all right, we agree on that purchase price, maybe that's just the box that he's looking to check, you know? And then it ends up being a win-win, because then you can say you finance this, you pay for this rehab. Then when I go and refinance, I can balloon everything out and you can walk away with, and then you got one mortgage on the building instead of two. And you got a great tenant in there with all new equipment,
Right.
and brand new stuff to depreciate.
Right. Okay.
That's just a thought. That's what I would, if you got a guy that's motivated, like what you're saying this dude is, squeeze the juice out, negotiate as if your life depends on it. Like, you might not be, maybe you're the only guy that's looking at it, maybe you're not. But if he doesn't have a whole lot of offers out there and you're the only guy that's willing to tango and dance with him, man, swing for the fence, you know?
Should I should I sign the P they want me to sign the PSA now, of course. Should I wait on that?
Don't do that.
Uh, okay.
You're under contract at that point. That's a legally binding contract. Then you're on the hook.
Yeah.
So
I
I,
just
I
thought
would go back
I
and
was still
renegotiate the LOI first.
okay. So do that first because I just thought since we were still in due diligence, there's I could get my earnest money back if something didn't work out. So I didn't see if the PSA was signed, it was
Yeah,
that
once you
binding.
sign that, once you sign that, then you put the earnest money up, and that's when your due diligence clock begins. Right now, y'all are just kind of going back and forth trying to come up with terms. If he's feeling that price is the price, give him the price, and then you get the terms. And then you just itemize out everything that you need in order to move forward and what it's going to cost. Like you said, have your brother-in-law, your broker's brother-in-law give you not even a sweetheart deal. Just say, this is the price of poker to rehab this stuff. And then if you know that he'll still do it at a discount, it's going to cost on paper 300, but you can do it for 250. Well, price it at 300 and let your seller know, like, this is just the price of poker. And
Right.
and then from there you can knock down and say, how am I supposed to pay for this? How am I supposed to buy it at this price? That's a little Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. If you've read that one, that's a great one. How am I supposed to pay for this? How am I supposed to buy this at that price if you don't give me these terms? How am I supposed to do that? And
Right.
see what he says. I mean, what do you have to lose by just going back and forth and just say, this is where I'm at, in or out,
Right.
you
So just
know?
go back and renegotiate with them, squeeze them. Even though we already have an LOI, I hadn't walked the property and they weren't open about everything. So
That's right.
now go back, renegotiate, and then try to come to terms on that.
1,000%. I think that's the move.
So
Okay.
for my own benefit, we all, because on the multi side, like what I do is I get a property condition report, have an inspector come out, and then I'm getting contractors come out. Is that what you guys are doing as well?
That's
As
what I
far
would do. If you look on just on the acquisition blueprint too, I believe once you get an inspection, of course, and then you can knock down the price even more too. Those inspections are going to run you 800 to $1,000, but then they're going to find a couple of things, and you can knock down another $4 or $5,000 and just like get it's worth getting that inspection, because you're just going to get, you'll find so much stuff extra wrong, quote unquote, that you can renegotiate the price.
is that's during the due diligence after you sign the PSA, right?
Yeah, that's for me. That's what I've done in the past. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to really spend a bunch of money on a site that
Right.
you're not really under contract for yet, you know?
Right.
And John, have you read the PSA and does it say like explicitly the whole contingency thing already? That like did they understand that so well and put that in the PSA very, very clearly about the contingency to lease at that price per square foot?
No, I mean they sent me the PSA. I really haven't looked at it. I wanted to talk to you guys about it as far as
Yeah.
whether do I sign it. I was gonna kind of stall on them is what I was gonna do, and see what y'all thought. But I have it in here. But I mean, I'm sure the people got stuff to do. I mean, maybe I can send it to you, Zane. We can look at it later. But they seem their brokers seem pretty well versed and understood what our contingency deal was. Like we're not going to buy it unless we can secure a tenant.
I will say this, John, you're able to terminate whenever. So like if this doesn't work out, you can terminate. And like what I've typically done is extend. So like if I don't have all my contractor bids in, I'm going to extend. If sellers not cooperate, you can terminate. You can always reinstate the contract later on, but that's certainly an option. But you want to make sure that contract has the contingency so you'll get your earnest money back.
Yeah, right. I figured if they're that motivated and we couldn't find any in 60 days and I got a broker still willing to market the place that if we went to 90, what harm does that do? So, but anyways, I know other people got stuff to talk about, so I appreciate y'all
I was going to ask
giving me
John,
feedback.
looking on the mortgage history on Crexy on that property, it looks like there isn't one. He's free and clear. Have you discussed first position seller carry with him rather than getting a bank loan?
No, that's it. No, never even thought about that.
Yeah, if he's free and clear and he's sitting on an empty building, he's not putting a lot of effort on it. He can sit on it a little bit longer. You offer him anything from 100% seller finance, for a duration.
True.
If he, so he's sort of partnering with you. You're coming in with the rehab expenses, maybe. I don't know, but just consider looking at it from that side of things as well.
Yeah, and maybe you can like what he just said, you do 100% seller financing or you include the rehab and everything in the sell price. And then once you get stabilized, you refinance, balloon him out his entire amount after a year or
Right.
so. And then you're in it with no money. You paid him out with his interest or whatever. And then yeah, you just do it that way. And so that's a pretty good idea, Matt.
Yeah, and I go a step further with what Matt's saying too. This is a thought. If I didn't realize he didn't have any debt on it, you know, again, if you give him his purchase price, whether he takes you could even go to the bank and say, after you get your quote for $300,000, he just leaves more money in the deal. He finances you $500,000 in a second mortgage. The bank finances you 300,000 out of the gate, and that's all your rehab. So you get a first position mortgage from the bank, and it's to buy or to make to bring the building up to speed. And then like you said, you tell this guy, hey, 12 months to start paying interest, or even a 24-month balloon. You use the bank's money to rehab the building and get it nice and tight, so you're still not having to come out of pocket any money. And then at that time, you're marketing the space. You're marketing the space. You got the right tenant, $8 a foot, right down the middle of the fairway. And then they go do a new appraisal, and it appraises for a higher price. And then you get a new mortgage, and then that's where you pay off your first mortgage, you pay off the second mortgage, and you're still in it for like very small. And you were using the bank's money to rehab.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea, I think.
Yeah, and no investors to split equity with either. And so
Yeah.
you can also go to straight to the seller and just say like, or to your bank first, maybe tell them that strategy, and then go to the seller and say, hey, if I present you with like this loan approval for the 300K to or however much to renovate this place, I'll present this to you, get like show you that we actually are a go on this debt, and then I'm actually going to put the money into it, and then say like, would you be willing to, or would you want to leave money in the deal, or whatever you want to say there, after you already get the approval from the bank. You know?
Okay. No, I think it's a good idea. I like
Any
that. I'll let you know how it goes down.
Don't
one
don't
last
sign that PSA until Zane and I get our eyes on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
John, one
renegotiate
last
that
comment.
LOI. What was that, Matt?
Just one last comment for John. If
Yeah.
you want another another bank. I connected with a guy that's a Tulsa-based commercial lender. So if you want a price
I
shop,
do because
okay,
these I'm fixing to, I think close next month on my first building, and they pulled a fast one on me. They called me 2 weeks ago and told me they wanted me to put 5% into a CD for them to finance the deal,
yeah,
and
of
I was too
course,
far along
yeah,
to really say no and start over, so I had to agree to it. So, I'm putting 38,000 into a CD that's going to be tied to that,
yeah,
that mortgage until I refinance, I guess. So it kind of frustrated me. So. I was looking. So Matt, yes, I'd be open to
okay,
that for sure.
yeah. He's with Security Bank, so put your email in the comments, and I'll do an introduction. I haven't worked with
Awesome.
him, but at least he's in your area. I happened to just connect with him last week.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
In a thought for everybody, not
All
just
right,
specifically
guys.
for
Thanks for the
John.
feedback. You want me to, I'm gonna stop sharing here.
Okay. And another thought that I'm doing a deal right now with the bank, community bank in Birmingham, and it's not commercial. I mean, it's a little flip that I'm doing. Basically, my banker just like threw me a bone, and I got to do it. Basically, it's like I'm buying it for 380, putting about 20 into it, and we've already got somebody that's going to buy it for 525. So I'm like, good little base hit. I'm like, why would I not do that, right? So, but what I was going to mention is some of these banks, and you can make these offers, is because I said, hey, I can put some money for the down payment, like that's fine, just kind of like a bridge loan to myself. I'm gonna take a policy loan, but what he said is goes instead. How about this? If you just want to put money in a money market account with us, which we've got, we're 5.25% or whatever they're earning right now, he goes, we can lend you dollar for dollar and use your cash as the collateral. So so maybe that's another option as you guys are building relationships with, your local banks. You go and say, hey, let's do like a cash collateral loan where they'll give you, again, if you guys are hoarding cash somewhere, if it's again that security bank that Matt mentioned or whoever, local community bank, you say, hey, if I'm going to do a $500,000 deal, you borrow 400,000 from them, and then you have 100 grand in a money market account. They can lend you that other $100,000, and keep your money in their account, still growing and compounding. So you can essentially get 100% financing on deals by just keeping money in their money market accounts. That's what some banks are offering, I guess. So that's just like another thought that maybe when you speak with your banker next, maybe that's something that, they can say, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. So just a thought, just another idea. Good job, Matt or John. That's awesome, man. Hopefully that'll shake out. But like you said, shoot that stuff over to us, and Zane and I can get our eyes on that. But I think you got a couple of options. Honestly, I mean, everybody had some really good thoughts right there, so that's great. Hopefully
Thank
that
you.
was
Yeah, well,
insightful. Yeah. What else? Who else is working on anything good, bad, upside or down, or anything like that? You got any projects that are happening?
I got one if you guys want to go through it.
Yeah, man, of course.
So I've been a little bit silent in the group for a bit, but I've been working.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
I'm gonna share my screen right here, send the request.
Sweet. Here we go. Let's see here. I need to hang on one second. How do I take I need to reclaim.
If you
Oh, here
just
we go. I'm
reclaim,
sorry. I got it. Sorry. Okay. There you go, Will.
Okay, let's see here. All right, let's go full screen. All right, so similar situation that John's going through. It's a vacant building, but in Florida, to be honest, this is the only way that you can get something that's worth buying is finding something that's vacant and filling it. So 40,000 square feet. You can see right here, it's a 15,000 square foot warehouse, another 15,000 square foot warehouse divided up by this 4,000 square foot office space. Currently, right now, I have two leasing agents working on this for me. I got a food distributor that's interested in taking up and leasing up the whole thing.
Nice.
We could also split it up into two tenants. One just takes the office and uses that as like a retail space. The other uses it just as like a logistics center or distribution center or whatever it may be. But either way, the food distributor is in there. I've called up a handful of the business owners that are neighboring this building. They said it's been there for a long time. At one point, it was a Coca-Cola distribution center. Another time it was a t-shirt manufacturer, then a food distributor. I guess there in the back is a huge walk-in refrigerator, which I don't necessarily love, but either way, that's kind of like the background on this building. It's in Daytona Beach. You'll see right here, it's like right by the water, and this is something that worries me about it. It's in a flood zone, and apparently it hasn't flooded in the last 3, 4 years. But over the last 10, water has come up into the building. So I'll show you what this looks like. It's older. They just redid the roof, so brand new roof, 10-year warranty on that. You
Okay.
got your two roll-up doors, grade level on this building. There's another roll-up door on the other warehouse side. But you'll see when I get into this, like the bathroom's super old. They pretty much said they redid it by just putting in this sink and mirror. Like these toilets are some old school shit. So there'll
I
be
love
some
it.
rehab on the inside. The office building looks okay. You can just see like on the floors, and like these poles, like this thing's been through the ringer. There hasn't been a tenant in there for a number of years. I guess the family that owned it for a long time, they were based in India. They just stopped giving a shit. And then this new guy that came in and bought it 3 years ago, he came in, it traded for about 1.5. So he got it for dirt cheap, but he had to pull a bunch of permits to get it to where, they could actually have tenants in there. Either way, my two leasing agents, they're local in that area. They're very familiar with it. One of them has actually leased this building for the old owner before. So, I got guys that know how to sling this thing, but it's a big building. 45,000 square feet. If market rents right now in Daytona are anywhere between $10 to $13 a foot. I'm kind of underwriting this at $9 a foot to try and be conservative. The way that I have the leasing agents working is, hey, I can go down as far as 850 and let's lock them into a triple net over 5 to 10 years and build that thing up with the 3% rent bumps. They think it's completely doable. But right now at a $9 per foot market rent, and the offer that I want to go in at, it's a 12, almost a 13 cap. So, there's a lot of potential for this building. It just kind of worries me with this flooding. My leasing guys say in Daytona, it's something that happens, and there's this one company that can build a system to prevent the flooding in there. But it's obviously something that we're going to need to invest in to make that happen. It's just I look at it as kind of like a tough sell to a tenant to lock them in for a 10-year deal saying, hey, it may or may not flood, depending on how big the storm surge is. So either
Hey,
way,
Will,
yeah,
is every building in Dayton? I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but is every building in that area, is it all a flood zone? Like, is everything just a flood
yeah,
zone?
it's all a flood zone, but
Okay.
something that is cool is this street, North Beach Street. There was a meeting with the county, and they were going to apply. I want to say it's like $15 million to this whole area to refurbish it, redo the streets, redo the sidewalks, clean it up. So that's a plus for us on this one. That at least they're going to take care of how it's going to look on the outside. But yeah, I mean, this area you'll see right here, Nolan. I don't know if you saw it earlier, but like this is the building, this is the intercoastal.
I see.
So
Yeah.
it's right there. And like all of these guys, Robbins, I forget what he is. He's like a radiator company. I called him, called a couple of these companies, and they're like, yeah, it happens. So whatever, the brokers, because the broker's working for the seller. He's trying to, tell me everything that I want to hear, but
Sure.
kind of left that out. So that was, good in the due diligence. Either way, the numbers look great, right? Like we got a 2.28 DSCR. Global, if we get it at $9 a foot, we're looking at 1.80. So it's very attractive. But before I send this LOI over, I'm scheduling in March, early first week of March, I'm going to go walk the property. And the leasing agent that I'm working very closely with, he said he's going to be there with me. So I'm going to go check it out. I can't do it these next 2 weeks. I'm getting my wisdom teeth out. So, that's going to suck. And I'm going to look like a puffy face for a little bit, but after that, we're going to get into it. And if I like it when I walk it, I'll submit the offer and we'll see how it goes. But knowing that this guy bought it at 1.5, I could probably come in well below this 3.95 that they're looking
Yeah.
for with the vacant offer. 3.298. That's kind of where I'm starting. But looking at your pocket, if it works out with these numbers, we're looking at cash flow of 9,000 a year. So
Yeah.
it's pretty sizable if you guys were to go in on this with me. So either way, that's where I'm at with this deal. And I like it, but it worries me a little bit. Again, like first property, 45,000 square feet, older building, there could be a
Big
lot
one.
more problems that come with it than I'd expect. But the numbers look great.
Yeah, no doubt. What is there any I mean when you'll probably know when you go walk it, but is there anything else that needs to be done to the property? Does it have like the certificate of occupancy already? Is that like are you
Yeah,
can purchase
that's all
like
taken
all
care
that?
of. So, some renovations they listed here. New roof with a 10-year warranty. The offices, restrooms, lighting and electrical systems have been upgraded. We saw what the upgrades were for the bathroom. The electrical, they probably redid the electrical panel, maybe home run some new wires. We'll see.
Okay.
Um, but the exterior has been freshly painted, which I do like. It's a clean look out there, on the exterior, but gotta clean it up on the inside for sure. Oh, and I forgot to mention that seller is down to do seller financing. I kind of ran them through what our normal structure looks like, and they didn't have any bad thing against it. So could be good. And then the guy from Matthews that I'm working with, that's the broker, his name's Christian. He got me introed to his capital markets guys who will, for a 1% fee, they will negotiate they're act like basically a mortgage broker for me. Go out there and figure out what lenders will be willing to give me money for it, what banks, and then they're able to actually negotiate interest rates down almost a point less than I would normally get myself. So
Nice.
uh, I'm not saying I'm gonna 100% go with those guys, but it was nice to get on a call with them and kind of chop it up and see what they could do for me. But yeah, man, that's what I've been working on this one. I had another one that was actually owned by the same seller that I was working on with Zane, but they came in a week and a half ago and they offered 1.6 and they took it. So that one's off the table. And I was gonna kind of leverage, I'll try and buy both properties. Let's get this pricing down even lower. But unfortunately that one's out. So this is the only one I'm looking at right now. And every day for more properties in Florida, but it's tough. So, trying to keep my eyes out for other markets around the US that might make a little bit more sense that it's not so inflated.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it looks like I mean the site looks to be in good shape. I mean, the location looks awesome too, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. My
Yeah.
question would be then too is like on a site like that. I mean, it sounds silly, but you could almost chat GPT and say, "Hey, I'm looking at a building in Daytona Beach, Florida, and I've got 45,000 square feet." You know, and then just kind of dial off a couple of the attributes of the site and say,
Mhm.
"Hey, give me 10 or 12, businesses that would, could utilize this space, and maybe, hey, Bubby, I'm just trying to
So I'm
figure
going
out
to
space.
show you guys this. This
Um,
is something that
something along those lines. Yeah.
I've been working on. So this is my investment strategy. I'm taking a lot of stuff that you've already built out and kind of critiquing it into my own
Yeah.
deal flow essentially.
Love it.
But I've built out my thesis, core thesis, physical attributes, everything. But let me scroll down here. Um, I literally went through ChatGPT. So here's my core tenant pool throughout all the markets.
Nice.
So we got
Nice.
regional last mile distributors, a handful of examples of businesses, trades and service companies, port adjacent logistics for like Jacksonville or anywhere or Tampa, anywhere that's like a port market, transportation adjacent service companies, light manufacturing and assembly, building products and construction supply. I think that could possibly work. Glass people that are selling like massive windows for homes or need a place to supply, lumber or millworks. Like there's a lot of different people in the construction industry down here that could utilize it. E-commerce, government users, and then special service. So, there's a ton of information here. It's geared towards my markets that I'm investing in Florida, but it could still be a resource for all of you guys. If you want to check it out, it's like 28 pages long of just information.
Nice.
Either way, yeah, I mean, like I'm definitely looking into all those. That's what I got my kind of gave the direction to the leasing agents. Hey guys, like this is who I'm looking for. I started kind of looking into, you know, who was locally that fits that profile and dialing, but I haven't had much luck. The front desk ladies are the hardest people to get past. So like, hey, what's up? I'm looking at buying a building. Are you guys looking at expanding? They go, I don't have time for this and hang up. So I'm trying to figure out a way to get some facility managers, so I can start doing some outreach direct to those guys because they're the ones that care and they're the ones that know, what they need to do as far as their scaling of the business. So yep, that's where I'm at. And if you guys got any thoughts, I'd be happy to hear them out. If not, we can move on to the next thing.
I have a question about the insurance, right? So like, have you gotten any information on what insurance might potentially like go for, like what that would look like? Because also if the tenant's gonna be in charge of paying insurance on a
Mhm.
triple net lease, I feel like there should be especially in a flood zone like this, like I don't really know how that would work. Would that
Oh,
have to
it's
like
definitely going to
overcompensate?
be higher than normal being in that flood zone.
Yeah, so yeah, what kind of information or have you got any information on that type of
Not
claim?
much, to be honest, man. Like I haven't been asking them for too much information. I've just been going based off of what I'm doing, calling around and what I've found on Crexy and whatnot. But after I submit the LOI and they accept that, that's when I'm going to really start digging into getting more information, due diligence.
Hey,
Um,
one thought too, Will. I'm just looking at your pro forma.
yeah.
Did your mortgage brokers tell you that y'all could get 30 years on the amortization?
They did. They did. So
Okay.
that was something really cool. And I asked them, I was like, hey, are you seeing this frequently? They're like, most of our deals right now are 30-year AM. And I was like, all right,
Wow.
sounds good.
Okay.
Um,
Strong.
and yeah, I mean, the wider we can spread this thing out, the better for us.
No
And
doubt. No doubt.
so, yeah, that's why I have 30 years plugged in, but everything else for the most part, like 70% LTV, 7% interest rate. When I originally started talking to them, they're like, yeah, we can get you down to a 5.5, but they bumped up recently. Hopefully, they drop back down here with this new Fed chair. But yeah, man, the 30-year AM definitely helps out and improves the deal. But
No doubt. I mean, no doubt. I mean, it makes your debt ratio get extremely strong. I mean, it makes
yeah,
pretty much everything bankable.
yeah. So that's what's up with that. And after I walk the property first week of March, I'll come back to you guys with some more details. I'll
Yeah.
probably have that LOI submitted if I like it, but who knows? I could walk in there and it could be a complete wreck. So we'll take it as it goes, but that's what we got going on.
All right, dude. Well, yeah, you
That's
can
awesome.
definitely keep us updated on all that, and we'll try to figure out how to work it, of course.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear more about that, Will, when that one goes forward, just because hang on, buddy. I mean, that's a big site, man. And you can get the right tenant in there, they'll never leave, like
Exactly.
because and I'll give you an example. Hey, buddy, I'm talking, please. On a building that I have where a guy was considering moving out, and it's like 27,000 feet. So this is basically double the size.
Mhm.
27,000 feet, he was going to move, to another location, like 20 minutes down the road. Just to
Mhm.
move his equipment, it was going to cost him like $200,000 to move
Yeah.
the equipment. So
Yeah.
you get the right guy in there at that size, they'll never leave. It just ends up being like a blessing for you and them, really.
I agree. And on the other hand, if you split it up to the two tenants, you can get better market rent, for the two
That's
instead of
right.
leasing everything out to one guy. So, Yeah, I mean, again, like I like it. I just, just a little nervous about it. I want to see it in person before I make any real offer. But time will tell. We'll be there in a couple weeks, so I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear how it goes, man. Congrats on just like the work that you're putting in, dude. That's gonna pay off, man. Big league.
Yeah,
So
100%.
keep that up,
Thanks,
dude. That's
you
awesome.
guys.
Yeah,
Go,
that's
let's
right.
go.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. No, great partnership. That's great. Um, okay, hey buddy. Um, so we got a couple more minutes. I want to go over anything else that anyone's kind of working on. This is awesome. This is what it's all about, which is great.
Yeah, I don't know what else everybody's got going on, but I know Matt, we left off last with you and Adam potentially going off to some banks, finding some debt terms on a deal that you've been working on. Before we go pitch it off to some investors, any updates on that so far? I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't want to talk about
Uh, Adam, no, that's fine. Adam is working on getting some terms from banks that he's connected to. So
Yeah.
currently asking for some P&Ls from the tenant. It's a local tenant, so it's not national and not public, and so they want to make sure there's strong potential with the tenant itself.
Yeah.
It's an absolute triple net lease in Wheeling, Illinois, and it the numbers pencil out pretty well. Trying to get some history on the building and if they've done anything to it. And this particular broker is not representing us, but he's a little challenging in terms of getting some of that info. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's where we're at. But once we get some banking terms, then we'll put it back out there. We'll have a little one pager on it
Mhm.
to present it.
Be awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
By
and
the
that,
way, I was going to just mention, sorry,
no, go ahead.
I do have a Crexy Pro account, so I want to add value to the team. If anybody wants, 15, 30 minutes to look at a particular property and try to pull comps in the area, we can hop on a Zoom and do that. If you
I was
don't
gonna say, Matt, what are they hitting you for that? It's like 350 a month.
know, I talked him down. So the key is you
Fill me in.
yeah, end of quarter, any end of quarter. We did at the end of 2025. We were down to the last day. I talked them down to 125 a month.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
not
Yeah.
bad at all.
it's
They
strong.
start you, they say, oh, it's $500 a month, and then 300 seems good. So they're anchoring you way above, like
Sure.
ridiculously above. So yeah, just wait till the end of their quarter
It's good
and
strategy.
they'll give it to you practically for free.
Yeah, got you.
Dude, that's good to know.
Yeah. Side note, I forget what the name of it is, but owner of Crexy went and built an AI platform that goes in. Have you seen this? Have you been getting hit for the ads? It basically goes in and you can go to any location, call it Daytona Beach, click that area, and AI will automatically pull who's lending in that area, what buildings they've lent on, how much money. Like it's kind of crazy the information and data you get from this, but it's around the same price. They were trying to tax me hard, and I was like, yeah, I don't think so. But a lot of platforms for commercial real estate and AI are starting to come up, and they're definitely helpful.
That's crazy. Wow. Well, I'd say this too, Matt, and then we can all start to make a move here. But and this is for everyone as well. What I'm rolling out right now is for all of our infinite banking clients, our cash value life insurance policy holders. Um, I'm basically just going to be sending out. I may have mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but sending out like an email and just beginning to call them create our network of champions, a list of people that have whether it's a little or a lot of cash value. They're wanting to deploy capital into opportunities. And so what I'm hoping that we can build this out is as we continue to grow that business, those people will say, hey, you know, I what am I supposed to do with this cash value now that I have it? And then we can always say, hey, look, there's this opportunity that we're working on our CRE collective. If you have appetite for it, you guys can have first dibs on opportunities. So we can almost marry the two to where when more opportunities come up, it just allows us to be more efficient and be like, hey, like we're doing like with this right now, it's like earnest, we can do earnest money funding on top, like like I said, I've mentioned it before. So we're trying to roll all that stuff out just to kind of commingle everything. because I think it adds value to our group, and then it adds value to them too. They get to look at maybe something that they would have otherwise never got their eyes on, or even the earnest money funding. They would have never, been able to get 10% on their money, doing anything else. So basically just trying to add more liquidity opportunities to our group. So that way, when, again, when these things come up, or like what John was mentioning, where this rehab, we might have money, in these life insurance policies that would want to fund those rehab deals. So there's just, I'm working on building that up. So just be aware that I think in a year, even in a year from now, we'll have, hopefully a couple of $1 million of just cash value in some of our member or some of our clients that will want to deploy that into some of our projects. So
Mhm.
we'll just start to marry those two ideas together. So I'm excited about that. I'm working on it.
And Nolan, you said before, maybe I misheard you. You've built a few private equity relationships that are looking to invest as well.
We've got, I mean, it's amazing. I would say not even so much private equity, but then like it's a blessing from social media. We'll get somebody come in our pipeline every single week that's got $5 million in cash, and it's like, hey, how do I invest? How do I invest? And so
Mhm.
we're just like kind of silently just like building up those people in our pocket. So I wouldn't say that they're like firms, but
Mhm.
they are just individuals or a couple that has cash, and they like what we're doing and they want to participate. So
Okay.
I'm just hoping as we keep moving this that little war chest of just multiple investors will build up. So then when the deal has been certified and vetted on our end, then we can turn it over to them and then it's immediately funded.
Love that.
So
Yeah,
just
that's awesome.
creates more agility and quickness, I guess, and velocity. So
Mhm.
anything else before we get moving out, guys? A really great call today. I really appreciate, Will and John, you guys being, just open about and what you guys are working on. It's just great. And Craig and Matt, you guys chiming in with like your opinion. It's like this is what this whole thing is about. It's just all of us coming together, brainstorming ideas. Like that to me is like really fun. I really enjoyed that. So I appreciate everybody's input on that today. It was great. So anything else? Ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks so much for making it, guys. Appreciate seeing everybody. Again, you know this. You got something else on your mind, whatever's happened, call us, holler at us. We're excited to be partnering with you and keeping moving the ball down the field. All right. So, all right, everyone. Thanks so much for making
Thank
it.
you.
Y'all have a great weekend. Okay. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
Later.